Welcome back to Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. 'Tis the season to spend time with your extended family. I realize that I don't know your particular family, but I do know one thing. You will at some point experience disappointment. It's just part of being human. People are going to say, think, and do what they will. That isn't necessarily the problem. The problem lies in you thinking that they shouldn't say, think, and do what they will. Let's back it up a number of months. In the time you've been away from your relatives, you have formulated a detailed profile for each person. This profile comes from past experience, past opinions of yours, and a whole lot of who you currently are. You have taken little snippets from past interactions and polished them finely and sorted them into boxes that are either labeled with positive or negative labels. You have decided which distinction is of more importance to you, just to keep things simple. In your mind, you may have decided that certain people are good and others are bad. The problem is people aren't that simple. Every human being is a dizzying combination of both positive and negative attributes and behaviors that require that you make the judgment of which attributes matter to you more. This is completely up to you. For every person I know, you could find people who could list all of the things that make that person spectacular, and you could find someone who could make a plausible case against them. There is no one who has ever walked the earth who did not have detractors. Time factors into this too. Maybe the negative things were in the person's past. They're a much better person now. Or maybe they used to be sweet and innocent and then turned into someone quite dark. You have to choose which version of the person you will attach to. You also have the option of detaching altogether. Gatherings of people who don't normally hang out bring forth heightened emotions. Throw a bunch of sugar and alcohol on that, and it's a miracle if anyone walks away clean. Everyone at the gathering can have a different agenda. Some come to have a great time and catch up. Some come to try to impress. Some may have come with the intention of evening a score. Some are filled with dread. Some are itching for a confrontation. Some have been practicing imaginary showdowns inside their head, while others haven't given the tiniest of thoughts about what may go down. The agenda that is brought to the party becomes the lens through which everything will be seen. Some at the gathering will be on their best behavior, showcasing the peace and wisdom they bring to the table. Others will end up demonstrating their pettiness, their entitlement, their attachment to grievances. Their pain and unresolved issues will be on full display, though they will not understand that this is what they're sharing. Some people will offer easy, loving reconnections that feel like the emotional equivalent of being wrapped in a warm blanket. Others will be the living, breathing demonstration of your greatest opposition. One life skill that can and should be worked on is the establishing and defending of boundaries. Under no circumstances should you feel the need to subject yourself to any form of abuse, nor should you allow anyone in your family to be subjected. If you're bringing a partner and children into a larger family setting, it is your responsibility to keep them safe from harm. The first time someone says or does something hurtful, you need to speak up and tell them this will not be tolerated. There also has to be a clearly defined consequence that you will enforce. If you are with people who have a history of being abusive, you need to have the response mapped out clearly in your head before you even get there. If someone says or does something cruel, you're within your rights to say, I'm not going to put up with this sort of cruelty. If you continue down this path, I will be leaving, or you will be leaving. It's much easier to make someone leave if it isn't in fact their house. If they continue, you will need to grab your coat and purse and the dish you brought and head out to happier places. To allow bad behavior to go unchecked is damaging to both the person who is behaving badly and the one who was mistreated. You have to have clear boundaries and enforce them. That is the only way that people learn that you are serious and that their choices have natural consequences. No gathering of people, no matter who they are, should turn into a free-for-all. If you can be with extended family, that's great. Many cannot. If there's no way to enforce a safe environment, then you are much better off creating a group of friends to celebrate with. No one, no matter how much work they have put into it, should be allowed to hurt other people. Some feel that the behaviors of the elder members of the tribe should all go unaddressed, that old people get to be as cruel and thoughtless as they want to be. But by tolerating that, you are teaching the young members of the tribe that cruelty is acceptable and that they just need to grow old enough to have it go unchecked. A family gathering can be a spectacular place for you to check in with your own levels of development. No better place to see what still triggers you than being with the people who were instrumental in shaping you. You can also see if you have succeeded in developing more compassion for others. What if you could meet each person exactly where they are today in their own personal development? What if you could see their grade level as perfectly fine for them? What if you could muster up some compassion because people can't know what they don't know? What if you could choose to not take anything personally? Now that you know that everyone is on their own journey, what can you see about who your relatives came here to be? These are the people you chose as your first teachers. But remember, they were supposed to carry you just so far. Growing beyond what they knew does not make them wrong. They did their part. You have been able to take it further, which is not a bad reflection on them. They gave you what you needed in either positive or negative ways to do what you came here to do. Why would they have chosen you to grow with? What about you has expanded them, whether through positive or negative means? Was there anything you did, either intentionally or unintentionally, that may have hurt a family member? If so, do you need to make that right? How open are you to hearing someone speak about you in a way that does not match your self-concept? Can you handle hearing a challenging opinion? Extended family has the power to enhance lives by simply being cheerleaders for one another. This life is tough, and it feels a little less daunting when you know you have others in your corner. The people who let you know that they are excited for what you do and want nothing but the best for you give you a leg up in life. The people who can see your strengths and who have been witness to what you have already survived and conquered are your greatest allies when your vision of yourself gets a little blurry. That description does not fit all families. Many families are contentious and crazy-making. But think of it this way. Each family unit is made up of people at all different levels of spiritual awareness. Those at the lower levels will bring the drama and chaos. They live to create conflict and confusion. They do not yet have integrity or empathy, which means they are incapable of resolving even the slightest of issues without causing harm. It would be a statistical anomaly for a family to be inhabited by only people at the lower levels, though not impossible. The fact that you are listening to this indicates to me that you are not working at a lower level. If you were, this would all sound like gibberish, and that you have a commitment to continuing to grow to higher levels. So there's always you. At your next gathering, look around. There may be someone you overlooked. Maybe someone you didn't expect to be an ally. Maybe you ruled them out for reasons that make no sense, like age. Maybe you used to believe that people had to be older than you to be wiser. Here's the thing. Your family could very well have people in their 70s who are still operating at a second grade level. You could also have people who are children who are working at college level of spiritual awareness. Let's look at some attributes that might help with the sorting. Some in the group that are there to talk trash about other people, put people on the spot by asking inappropriate questions, there to settle scores in a hostile manner, and find fault with others. These are the people who are still working at a lower level. No reason to get mad at them, and no reason to take any of their garbage. This is just all that they're capable of at this point in their life. Some may not grow out of this in this lifetime, and some may have at one point been above this and then backslid. Do not engage. Smile and move on to the next person. Look for someone who is there to reconnect, to have fun, exchange information, both talking and listening, and positively contributing to the festivities. Like the two sides of a magnet, you will either be attracted or repelled by each person in the crowd. Make it your work to find the people who you are drawn to and figure out why. If some interaction brings up anger or resentment, be thankful. It means you can now see something that you can fix, which will facilitate a move upwards. One thing to think about is that everyone in the group wished that they could have grown up perfectly loved and cherished, safe and protected, and appreciated for being who they were. That is the wish of every human, but none of us got that, at least not in the way we wished. In our fairy tale minds, we wished that our world would magically hold us suspended above all the ugliness that life offers. In this make-believe world, we were never hurt or shamed or lost or devastated. We would have basked in the glory of the love and admiration of others. People would see all that we tried to do, and they would have appreciated our efforts. That's not the world any of us grew up in, and while it may seem sad, it's actually a blessing. It may have been a parent, or both parents, or a sibling that you wish had wanted to be more nurturing of you. Someone who had comforted you, had supported you better during your struggles, someone who had been able to carry some of your burdens for you. Maybe someone who had been able to see you, truly see you, and appreciate what you had to offer. But they couldn't, or they didn't. They just didn't have that capability, or they couldn't spot your need. The way it turned out is that you, instead, had to learn how to be that for yourself. The beauty of that is that you created and internalized all the strength and love that you thought should have come from outside of you. You figured out all of this for yourself. These skills, which you will continue to grow and strengthen, cannot be taken away from you. You did not need the help you thought you needed from someone else. Everything you did not get in the way of love or protection made you find those strengths inside yourself. For every strength you find inside yourself, you are more capable of dealing with the blows that life offers, because you always have the person you can count on, yourself. If your sense of safety and validation comes from outside of yourself, and you never have to come up with your own homegrown variety, you will be dependent on your external source, which you cannot count on for your entire lifetime. People go away. People die. People have their own issues and can't devote their lives to being your human security blanket. It is imperative that you find ways to nurture yourself and pat yourself on the back. You need to find your own validation more important than the validation of others if you want to survive in this world. When you find yourself with people who you thought let you down, instead think of how proud and appreciative you are to yourself for finding your own way and building your own stockpile of internal strength. You built up wisdom that others may have never been able to share with you, and now no one can take that away. You are a magnificent being of light who serves as a walking demonstration for others. Let each gathering become the arena in which you can fully demonstrate your love and compassion for yourself and others. How are the holidays going for you? Let us know. Send your email to rebirthrev, R-E-V, @gmail.com. Tell everyone you know to join us in the revolution by listening on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube. If you follow and rate us, others will find us more easily. Our listener base continues to grow. Shout out to new listeners in Colorado and Israel. I'm eternally grateful. Until next week, be open, be aware, watch for clues, and erase some things from your to-do list. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Have a peaceful week.